everybody. Welcome to the media show on the Pod TV network. I'd like to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. And we have some pretty exciting topics today, ranging from the writer's strike to new shows that will be appearing on the Pod TV network to our expansion. Thank you, our expansion into radio. And with that, we have our radio expert, the person who's been here for over 100 years, a person who has a degree in journalism and is going to be on the show announcing the Pod TV network now being Pod TV Radio, Mark Lee. So we'll bring you up after a while to bring this up. Yes. You have this great thing to announce, but we'll bring our panelist in first so they can listen to the announcement. And this person who has no clue that we're expanding rapidly into countries that he knows is the head of the famous show Ukraine, Russia, China. Ukraine, Russia, China. We'll bring in Sasha Starr. And then we'll also have a person who also has been in media, but as a writer for Jimmy Kimmel Live. And now all the writers are on strike, except this one who's moving forward. A Mega Society member, if people even know what that is. We'll bring in Rick Rosner.
Well, I'm still on strike. I'm not writing. I'm just saying stuff.
Oh, you are? Okay, so you're saying stuff. All right. Well, we have some new announcements on the Pod TV network. I just got back from San Francisco, so I'm like jet lagged. Mark Lee, tell us a little about iHeartMedia and what we're doing with the expansion into radio.
Over there, well, having conversations with a lot of folks, and they were like, "Hey, y'all are on live stream. That's like being on TV. What's going on with radio?" And I was like, "Nothing's going on with radio. We don't have any radio." But then I remembered that I had a Spreaker account, so I reactivated the Spreaker account, and that allows you to distribute the shows actually usually after the fact, but it's still able to distribute them. So I put 3 shows, and I'll be putting more of them on during the course of the next several days onto Spreaker, which then allows you to distribute it to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, Castbox, Podcast Addict, and a number of other sources as well. So you can actually now hear your shows in the radio land as well. So that's
wait. I thought it was just iHeart Radio. You're telling me we're going to be on Spotify also?
Well, Spotify too. Yes, we're going on to a number of things. No.
Okay, so the thing is, I know we have a lot of talk shows. I mean, we have like 100 of them, and 30 plus are active. Which I thought was natural to go onto radio because guess what they do in radio? They talk all the time. Guess what we do on Pod TV? We talk all the time. Right. But I thought it was just iHeartRadio. You're saying it's and I checked iHeart. I haven't checked Spotify. iHeartRadio has like 100 million subscribers. I mean, it's pretty big. But Spotify, I haven't checked. I just hear of, but I haven't checked. So we're going to be on Spotify also.
We're going to be on Spotify as well, Deezer. There are a couple of other ones that I'm looking at as well.
Really?
Trying to figure out how we can even get the test show and Ukraine, Russia, and China. I'm hoping to have those up possibly later on today because I'll try to put up some of the past episodes into that space because they'll go through this whole approval process. But it's like as soon as you write it up there, they pretty much approve it as long as you don't say things overly stupid and all in that space.
Okay. Well, that we may have some problems with, but we'll have to work with our producers on that. But okay, that's pretty. I had no idea. I was in San Francisco giving a speech to SEO Club Global, and on the way back, I get this notification that, hey, look what Mark did. He's got us on all these radio networks. And I'm going like, really? Okay, And I think we're going to be able to do it mechanically without stripping it. Without stripping all we have to do is strip the video out, and then they get to hear the audios. And speaking about stripping, let's bring in Rick Rosner because he's got a new show that he's working on. Tell us about the show you're working on.
But Kim said we should call it Naked at Night. So that's what we're doing. And it's based on a show I've done for years with my buddy Lance, who's an artist. We always get in political arguments when I model for him. And often I'm modeling naked. This time it was just with my shirt off.
Okay. All right. So it's political arguments. Well, see, the problem with
it's everything, and it's not just argument. It's see,
Jatovia is just not into politics. After knowing for many years, he's just a right-wing conservative Christian value person. So he would probably be really good on a political show because He's one way, rigid, conservative. You might want to bring him on. Certainly he'll have to pray before he gets on the
Nick,
show.
hold on a second. You
Can
don't
we
know.
all engage in a prayer for Jacoby before we get on?
We'd love to have him
Let's
on.
pray.
Hold on one second.
Why are you
Hold on a
laughing?
second, because
Come on,
we had
Jacoby,
our
let's pray.
initial recording on early this morning, and it was literally early this morning. Rick is probably surprised that I'm still up and fully awake and alert and all in that space because we did it early this morning. The precursor of the recordings that'll go on later on. As soon as I do some editing, we might start the first episode either tonight or Tuesday and all in that space because we did record about 5 or 6 segments, and there was even variety show because there was a musician that came literally floating through. There was a dancer that literally came floating through. There were pictures. There were broken items, and Rick did not throw any furniture this time, but we did see broken items and all in that space. So there was all kinds of great entertainment and all kinds of conversation. That it is late night, so the conversation was able to go a little bit in what some people would call the blue lane. And there was talk about bringing in other models. So if Jacoby is willing to fly out to California, because that is where Rick lives at, and that's where his artist friend lives at and everything, I think we can arrange to have Jacoby as one of the models if he's willing to fly out to California. What do you think, Rick?
Is he going to be one of the nude models? Is that what Jacoby's volunteering to do?
I mean, all I know is, Mark, you're the one with the leopard print thong, and I think you'd be the perfect model out there.
Okay.
No,
I think
all right.
we'd probably rig a system where you don't have to fly all the way out to Torrance. Maybe Lance can draw or paint you via a StreamYard, which is our
platform.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, so I just get this thing perfectly clear because I need to know. Jacoby has volunteered to be a nude model for your show. Is that what we're doing? Is that what you're doing, Jacoby?
I get paid for getting naked.
Oh,
Yeah, we can offer you a stipend.
No, wait, Jacoby,
I wasn't sure.
this
we can
could
offer
turn
you a
your gamers
stipend
in
of-
around. This could turn you
Okay.
around. You're on
So-
Naked Night.
So this is going to be the Naked
Naked
News
Night
with
Gaming.
Jacoby McDuffie. The Naked News with Jacoby.
We can pay you $25 an hour.
Hold on a
Oh,
second.
wow.
'Cause- hold on a
He's
second. Hold on a
there.
second.
25,000 an hour. I'm loving it.
No,
Because
it
one
wasn't
of the times,
25,000 an hour. He said
no,
25
hold on,
an
look,
hour.
Nick, hold on one second. Because
The
one of the
Naked
times
News
when
with Jacoby McDuffie.
Sasha ran away because he's got family things to deal with. He's got to do other things. So he had a guest host on, a gentleman that we like. He's also looking at bringing a show to the network very shortly as well. But Jim Ead was the guest host, and there are these lovely people that come by, like a grand master and everything. But he has an artist wife, and that artist wife did a nude painting and everything. So I'm thinking that maybe we can get Sasha to be one of the nude models along with Marion's wife and everything. So Sasha, are you game for this to do nude models?
From my understanding, in LA it pays $25, Sasha, but I will pay $25 not to see it. But go on.
As soon as Ukraine will win its war against Russia, I'm ready.
Okay.
People can keep their
looks like
shirts
Rick,
on.
you have people that will be working for you here short. Well, one of them will. The other one, I don't know about this war in Ukraine deal, or that's going to come fly through. So I don't know. So Rick, tell me about when this thing's going to be on the Pod TV network. Is it going to be on at prime time so everybody can see it?
It's, I think
or-
10 p.m. Now is that 10 p.m. East Coast, which would be 7 p.m. West Coast, 8 p.m. Mountain?
Yeah. If it's 10 p.m. our time, and East Coast, it would be 7 p.m. your time. You and Mark work it out.
We'll get it together. And actually, there is a show that deals with cybersecurity that is supposed to air around 10. So more than likely, it will actually be 11 p.m. East Coast time, which is actually a good time for y'all on the West Coast because that's like y'all have finished eating and everything. So it'll be at 8 p.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could rename it Naked and Afraid, and then you have
I want to temper everybody's expectations because on a network late night show, you have 100 to 200 people working, many hours and often many weeks in advance of each show to make it. You've got 10 or 12 or 14 writers. You have half a dozen producers or more. You have guest bookers. All people at the top of their craft to make the most entertaining show they can. We have 3 or 4 people in an artist studio in an industrial park. Next door they're putting together surfboards.
Hey, Rick, don't y'all just have wandering performers? Because I'm pretty sure that the gentleman that did a good job, he was kind of one of those traveling musician types, and the traveling dancer. I don't know if they're part of your regular entourage because they're,
the musician, the guy on the guitar, is also our director, editor when we edit it, and cinematographer. So he's everything rolled into one.
Cool.
Wow. Okay, so he does the post-production and everything. Is it going to be post-production or is it going to be live? Naked shows when you're live, you can kind of mess up. You know what I mean, Rick?
Well, our director has shot when we start having nude models in there. We've already discussed it, and he's shot 8 movies. He's shot dozens of music videos. I'm confident that he can avoid showing anything that we're not supposed to show.
Hey, Rick, one of the things that the folks are going to learn when they watch the first show, and I try and get the first show on because I got to do some editing this evening, but if it's not this evening, it'll be no later than Tuesday and everything. But one of the things that these 30-minute segments reveal, because they're 30-minute segments and all in that space, is that your artist friend is conservative, whereas you are liberal and all of that. But he also has some very interesting Hollywood history. So for those that want to watch the show, can you explain a little bit about the Hollywood history? I think it involves a cat that might be pink and all of that.
Yeah, so Lance's dad was one of the greatest comedy writers of the 50s and 60s. He won an Oscar for writing Pillow Talk. He created the Pink Panther and Inspector Clouseau. And this is one reason why we're striking. The Pink Panther franchise has generated $406 million in box office across 11 movies. And there's another one in development, which will star Eddie Murphy as Inspector Clouseau. And every time they make one of these movies that now gross, at least 100 million per movie, the heirs, Lance and his siblings, they split $9,200, which is just ridiculous. They took MGM to court because they have the legal right to renegotiate this contract that was signed 60 years ago. But MGM had fancy lawyers and they crushed them in court.
Yeah.
But writers strike because studios, it's crazy. For every $15,000 a Pink Panther movie grosses, the heirs of the creator get $1, which is just insanely exploitative.
Wow. Well, I didn't know it was that bad. Go on, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sure it's that bad. I'm sure that Kim, when she was growing up, had a Pink Panther doll sitting in her house and all of that, because I'm thinking that she was running around with the Pink Panther doll and all in that space. She's actually got some pink on today. So did you have the Pink Panther doll when you were growing up, and it was the doll sitting there, and were you sitting there following that particular famous cat?
No, I had a very sheltered life. I didn't get to watch a lot of TV. My parents were very careful what we watched. So, my cartoon list, I knew that there was a Pink Panther cartoon because I heard other kids speak about it. I didn't get to really see Pink Panther until I was an adult. And I thought it was very funny. So, I would have loved to, but not my... But I will say this, I have noticed that kids today like watching our older cartoons like Pink Panther. I will say Mr. Magoo was my favorite probably cartoon if I ever got to watch him. I think because my dad liked him, so I got to catch that occasionally. But no, but I noticed that kids today, like we played back old cartoons like Pink Panther and stuff like that for young kids. And they're like, cat, I want to watch cat. So those kind of things are cool today.
They're very cool today. Hey, Sasha, was the Pink Panther popular in Russia? And did you watch the Pink Panther, or have your kids watch the Pink Panther, or were y'all too busy watching the Russian version of the Pink Panther? So did the Pink Panther make it over there to Russia?
No, no, it was
Russian
not
version.
popular. It was not, it was not known at all. So I was exposed to this movie already while I'm here in Canada, and yeah, so I always enjoyed these movies. And, I'm actually appalled by what I've just heard, that the creators of that are being paid so miserable amount of money. It's incredible, really.
It's the American
Yeah,
way.
right.
The corporate attorneys from big company America crush the individual spirit and liberty of the American individual. I mean, that's the American way here.
Would you
So,
agree that you
Yeah.
don't want to go to trial if you can avoid it? Because
sure, they did a settlement. They settled it.
But
Right.
apparently the settlement was not that great, because one of the things I learned in
Well,
the
they-
episode
they're, they're
we
getting
were-
something rather than nothing. So,
well,
you
I'm not
know,
sure about that.
you go
Rick,
to
would
trial
you
and they
please
get
tell this fine, esteemed audience what kind of money that Lance made? Because I know when we were doing that show early this morning, I was appalled at what he got at everything. So definitely, you'll share a little bit about how much they made and how Lance is surviving these particular days.
Lance has 5 or 6 siblings, and Steve Martin was the last Inspector Clouseau for 2 movies. He got paid $28 million for his first Pink Panther, and Lance and his siblings split less than $10,000. They each got about $1,500.
Okay, wait. This doesn't seem equitably justifiable, Rick. You're telling me the person who created the Pink Panther, okay, gets like 10 grand. The person who goes in who plays the inspector gets $28 million. Right? Is that what you're telling
He
me?
got $20 million for acting. He got
Right.
$3 million for writing services, probably because he tweaked his lines, and another $5 million for I don't know what, maybe a percentage of the gross.
Don't people in your area of Los Angeles ever have any sense of equitable distribution? Right?
Well, I mean,
Are they all that greedy? I mean, over there.
I mean, entertainment is a pyramid where, like, a lot of people
Pyramid. Okay, go on.
people work for Disney out of love of what Disney makes, and some out of hoping to eventually be in the Bob Iger part of the pyramid, where you make $50 million a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the thing is, the people on the bottom of the pyramid aren't doing very well, but they dream that they're going to go to the top of the pyramid, and they don't.
Yeah,
And the people, and so, but once you get to the top of the pyramid, don't they feel that like I'm just going over the writer strike in general, because I listen to a lot of this media stuff, and to me, the writers make the difference. I know everybody says, "Oh, it's the actor," but look, if you don't have a good line, you don't have anything. All the actor has to do is pitch the good line as opposed to create the good line. Doesn't the actors and the executives have any feel for the people who are actually doing it, or they just don't care? What are your thoughts, Rick?
There's constant pushback. There's the writers and Screen Actors Guild contracts, I think, run for 3 years.
Yeah.
And not every one of them ends with a strike, but I think there have been, since the Writers Guild was formed, I think there have been 8 strikes, which means we're averaging, every 10 or 12 years. It's been 15 years since the last strike. And in those 15 years, conditions have gotten ridiculous because there are almost no residuals for streaming, and almost all of TV is moved to streaming.
Right.
Hey, Rick, speaking of streaming really quickly, there is something going on. We're going to get off of the Pod TV and what we're doing. We might come back to that. But there is something going on around the country, and it might even be going on around the world, where people are actually being encouraged to go out there and jack up a certain kind of car. It's a Kia, and I think a Hyundai is on the list as well. So they're basically having what is called the Kia Challenge. You can look it up on YouTube and on some of the other platforms where they are actually being encouraged to fill the cars, maybe joyride and all in that space. And it's actually known as the Kia Challenge. And YouTube is removing videos depicting what is known as the Kia Challenge. And the spokesperson for YouTube. We all know how much we love YouTube here at Pod TV.
Does this
Elena
involve-
Hernandez said that in a statement while stressing that the company considers context when making a decision, because apparently there's context in stealing cars and everything. She said, we might allow some videos if they're meant to be educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic. And
This
in a
is,
statement,
this is stealing Kias, or this is doing some kind of crazy driving. What are they doing?
they are
I
stealing
remember
the Kias.
ghost riding the whip, where people would make videos of them. They would get out of their cars while they were moving and ride on the outside of the car with nobody driving, or with them reaching inside to kind of, and often ended badly. So I don't know what's happening with the Kias.
Well, apparently they are going and stealing them. I think maybe they return it back to the owners. But in a statement, TikTok is also involved. I know how much Kim loves TikTok, but TikTok pushed back on assertions that many of the dangerous challenges mentioned in news reports have reached mass popularity on the platform. There is no evidence any of these challenges ever trended on TikTok, and there is clear documented history that many challenges falsely associated with TikTok predate the platform entirely. That's at least what the TikTok spokesperson, Ben Rath, has
I
said.
don't know about this, but Fast and Furious 10 is coming out, and the city of LA has issued a warning saying, don't do what they do in Fast and Furious 10, because people do, and people get killed, drifting, and they take over streets. They take over big wide streets where you can that are good for drifting, and people get killed when they end up skidding out of control.
I'm gonna bring our social media experts and folks that's in the gaming industry and everything. So we were talking, because I had switched the topic slightly, about this lovely thing Jacoby called the Kia Challenge, which apparently people are jacking up Kias, and then they're stealing them, and then sometimes they're colliding with folks and doing other stuff. But apparently TikTok and even YouTube are saying, as long as it's educational, it's all right. But I was wondering if you had heard anything about these Kia challenges, because you follow more of this news than I do. But apparently there is a challenge going around where people are able to jack up cars that they find.
I mean, there have been challenges. There's another challenge every other week. I mean, there was a smart car challenge where kids would find a smart car and dump it in a river because it was, that small little, I think it's IQ smart car or whatever. Yeah, they would pick it up, move it over to a river, and put it in there. I mean, there are tons of challenges. It sucks because kids do them, and even adults do them, but it's that 5 seconds of fame that they want. That's all.
Well, let's come over to Pod TV and get the 5 seconds of fame. Remember, we're giving Rick another 10 seconds of fame, even though Rick's already got all kinds of fame. I mean, this is the man that was a Mensa superstar and also won a case against a major corporation.
I didn't win. No, Lance and I both sued major corporations, and we both got crushed.
So what was it like getting crushed by the major corporation?
It's hard to go up against a team of lawyers who collectively bill $1,500 an hour or more.
You mean Nick's been doing the wrong kind of law? He's been doing that pension law all this time when he should be doing the other kind of law? Now we've learned the secret.
Remember the Tide Pod challenge?
Uh-huh.
So, and honestly, I guess this kind of fits in with what Rick was saying, but in a sense, kind of not. There was a group on YouTube. They go up under College Humor, but they made this fictional CEO who was responding to all the Tide Pod challenges and saying he's sorry for kids and making it look like candy. And so, yeah, that's just the sidebar on the same, I guess, challenges and how a CEO can come down and having all these lawyers being able to, take on whatever comes in front of them, basically.
Well, apparently, we oftentimes talk about the nature of what goes on with folks that are centering. And of course, we oftentimes put it in the Western context. But apparently, it's also going on in our fine folks over there in China. And I know that the show that Sasha does is called Ukraine, Russia, and China. But I did see that last week, a Chinese comedian came under a police investigation because he told a joke about a stray dog. So, there's all those things about whether Chinese dogs are involved in their food display as well. So maybe that's what the joke was. And a Malaysian comedian got in trouble by having mocking attempts by Western chefs at Asian cooking. So he was mocking the attempt by the Western chefs to cook Asian food. And now his Chinese social media account has been suspended after he made jokes about China. So maybe you can do good if you're mocking the West, but if you mock the Chinese.
China is the most interesting country in the world right now, I think, because it's an entrepreneurial dictatorship. They kind of love they're a communist country that loves capitalism,
Right.
and can push its citizens around to make them more productive. For decades now, China has been pushing its citizens off the farms and into the cities where they work in manufacturing. And once every week, a new Chinese city breaks 1 million in population, and China has close to 250 cities with more than 1 million
people. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they're a capitalist country run by a communist party. Okay, and it's just weird. I mean, no matter how you look at it, China is weird, and we're in there and we're not in there. We're in there, but we basically have to backdoor in through Understanding China, through Steve Tan, so I can get our shows into China because Steve will reproduce them there. But you can't go directly into China. You have to go in direct with a friend. Who you just can't directly get your media stuff into China. Russia, you can forget it. They won't talk to us. Every time I put Sasha's show up there, they don't like your show, Sasha, in Russia. You get banned. He does Ukraine, Russia, and China, and I don't think it's pro-Russian. And so how they solve it, Sasha, is they just don't let your show in. It just stops at the borders of Ukraine, and then they just don't. They are able to block it. I'm not sure how they do it, but they're able to block it. In spite of all their blocking, we still have people from Russia watching shows.
Russia declared 500 Americans never able to enter Russia again, including a bunch of late night hosts, Jimmy Kimmel,
Really?
Seth Meyers, anybody who's ever made fun of Trump, who's a celebrity. Russia says, no, you can't come to Russia.
Okay. Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
You want to go to Russia right now.
Yeah.
We learned
Okay,
from
well,
Minor that you pretty much want to stay out of Russia.
yeah.
So
By
they're able
the
to
way,
block.
hold on a second. We have another new show that is here as well. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about this new show that we're going to be launching with you, because we've got a new show that you're going to be doing as well. And Rick's will start this week. I think yours will start later this week or next week. But, Jim, you're on the hot seat. Tell us about your new show.
I got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. You're
Yeah.
worse than Steve Rao.
Well, don't you have to start the show?
The show's already started.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well,
We're talking. Yeah, I know
I'm
you're on the
terribly
West
sorry.
Coast,
I was
and,
late.
We have 30 minutes. We're already
I got 30 minutes. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Change Your Mind is the show that I'm going to host, and I'm going to have people that are telling us how to change the way we think, because we're often rigid in the way we think about things, and sometimes we need to take another perspective than the one that we have. We're stuck in our thinking, and changing your mind is one of the things. It's a gift if you can do it. And that's the show. We're going to have experts, people that are life coaches, people that are addiction, recovery addicts and recovered addicts, and they're going to tell how they got it done, and all sorts of different types of people are going to be on the show. And I'm going to ask them questions of how they did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, chess
Hold on a
can
quick
actually
question.
help you with that. Chess can help you with that, Jim, because I play against these chess players, and they keep losing the same way over and over again. And I say, if you continue doing this and you don't want to change your mind, it's okay with me. I'll just keep beating you.
It's called the definition of insanity.
I
Doing
don't
the same
care.
thing over and over again is one of those definitions of insanity. But speaking of the definitions of insanity, there is this, vicious rumor going around, and since he gave me a hard time earlier, I'm going to give him a hard time back on this space. But there's this vicious rumor going around that Jacoby thinks that he is the greatest video game player of all times, all over the world and everything. So are you going to be able to change his mind that isn't the case? Because Jacoby definitely thinks that he is the super champion, the LeBron James of the video game world. And I want to know if we can change this perception that he has.
The only person who can change Jatovi's mind is Jatovi.
I have no idea what you said except for the LeBron James part. But I am not the LeBron James of gaming world. Not even close. No. I would love to be. That man is a multi-millionaire, almost a billionaire.
Yeah, he's pushing close to $1 billion, but he's not going to be winning NBA championship this year. It looks like he.
No,
Hey, speaking of champions, something happened in the chess world. He went no. Magnus Carlsen steps aside, grows a beard, and he's on Poker Stars. Good for him. Or he's doing poker, right?
Yeah.
The guy who won, Dirim Ling, for whatever his name, from China, becomes the world champion, and they had his butt handed to him in the last tournament. So did Ian, the runner-up. And the guys that won was
Caruana,
right? And Wesley Slow did good. In other words, the Americans are
second
good.
place.
So my question is, why is it they do good in all these chump tournaments and they can't win the bloody world championship?
Superbet is not a chump tournament, Nick. My God,
Pressure.
Come on, Jim. Jim, you're playing for the world championship and they fumble the ball.
Okay, the only one who
then
did
they go in some
maybe
chump
Nakamura
get together, and Fabiano wins, but no one gives a rat's rear. So what's going on here? Talk to me, guys.
Well, LeBron's not winning the world championship either, but he's still a great player and still a billionaire. So.
Yeah, Sasha. Let's hear from Sasha.
I think that at different times, depends of which year, which month, which time of the year, or so on, different players can play better, more creative chess than others. I remember at the time when Kasparov and Karpov were playing their matches, there was a great discussion when the match would start. In March or in May or some other time, and they both, with their coaches and doctors involved and so on, they knew the biorhythm of each other. So they knew that one guy is very strong in May, but not so strong in March, so it's better to face him in March, for example. So remember the great tennis players. There were Grand Slam tournaments. There was never a world championship in tennis. So Grand Slams, they are in different times of the year on different covers, like whether it's hard court or dirt or whatever. And therefore they have different champions. Very seldom one player, it was a few times in history happened, that would win all 4 Grand Slams.
Same with golf.
Same in golf. So what's happened in chess is that, okay, there were dominant players who happened to be, of course, world champions as well. And those are well-known names like Robert Fischer, like Kasparov, like Anand in his prime, like Magnus for the last several years. Now this Nepa and Ding, they are not dominant players by far.
No.
Not by far. So one of the 2 non-dominant players became luckier than another one. That's it. Voila, you have a new world champion. So what? Who cares?
Yeah, we got a new world champion, but Jim and Sasha, because you mentioned it earlier, it's another popular game that's out there. Does anybody watch Poker Stars for the actual poker? Because I mean, I know it comes on late night, and I also know that there are people that walk around. It's almost like the boxing thing. They walk around scantily clad. So I'm trying to figure out, it's a rich news show and everything. Are they watching for the poker or are they watching for the scantily clad?
Wait a sec. When you're watching sports on TV, whether it's soccer, basketball, tennis, doesn't matter what, you're watching the game in its entirety from the beginning to the end. In poker, you never see any tournament in its entirety. I played in a real poker tournament. I shared 4th, 5th in the last poker tournament in Moscow. And they closed all the casinos. They had one last tournament. I shared 4th, 5th. Most of the times, especially at the beginning, it's very tedious, incredibly mechanical process. When you throw away cards, your best chance is to throw away your cards, Some
Right.
people don't even watch what their cards they have. Some people throw away 2 aces. It
Wow.
doesn't matter. You're just waiting until there will be less and less. It's normally poker. Let's say you have 9 players. Most of the times you have a duel of 2 people with the strongest hand. One of them will be eliminated. Sometimes it's 3. So 2 will be eliminated, 1 will stay. So when you are not part of that, you are already a winner because 1 or 2 people will be eliminated. So you are closer to be redirected to a next pool, to a next
So I have a
table.
question for Jim and Sasha and Nick. In math and physics, it's said that people are only capable of original thought from their 20s through their 40s, and then they're kind of done. And
Mhm.
Einstein, is that true of chess? Do people lose the ability to do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what can you do to extend that period in your life?
Your abilities do start going down, and you see a lot of players, Rick. They retire at age 50. Even Kasparov hung up the chess at 50 because you just can't withstand the stamina, the mental stamina,
It's
to
absolutely.
stay in the game. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
before the computer
Yeah.
age, there were people
Yeah.
like Korchnoi, like Smyslov, that they were playing great chess into their 60s.
Yeah.
But it was before computer age. Now, it's
Right.
computer age. Also, people in computer age are maturing much faster. There are several grandmasters when they were 12 years old, when they were awarded titles, and there are now many 19 years old players
Yeah.
in elite
But-
chess.
But
let me
Sasha,
say this.
you peak in your 30s, and we well know if you're not Rick, if you're not like a master level player in your teens,
We
you're
used to
toast.
speak in our
You're
30s.
toast.
It's younger
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
People-
you have no chance. You're not going to become you're not going to become a grandmaster. And they did studies. Somebody once they hit 30 and they say, "Hey, I'm going to become a grandmaster. What's my chance? What's the chance of 0?
Well,
It
Rick,
ain't going to happen." So if
One
you're
of the
30 years old,
I've
you
heard that
start-
LeBron James spends $1 million a year to stay in good physical condition. I'm sure he has are
Yeah.
there chess people who are going to extreme lengths, taking like dozens of brain pills a day or
Can they
engaging
extend
in
it?
fitness routines?
Sports Illustrated ran an article called The Grandmaster Diet.
That's a good question.
And so people are taking care of themselves in ways that we never used to
Right.
in the past. They're really
Yeah.
taking care of themselves. They're doing everything they can to be physically fit because, as Nick related to, stamina is part of it. You've got
there's
to
a
be-
physical stamina on this.
You've
Yeah.
got.
Speaking of
you see them
stamina,
concentrating for hours.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Every day.
stamina, I got another question for y'all that's somewhat related, but it's also
I got
related
things
to.
to say on this, Mark.
Yeah,
If you
go
can,
ahead.
just hold it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because math, music, and chess are the only things that you have child prodigies.
Mhm.
Something that they become adept at it at a
Right.
young age before they are taught how to do it. Capablanca in chess, Mozart in music. There's mathematicians that just can do it. But when we're talking about people that have studied and learned and processed and absorbed all this information as adults and growing up, and that they're not prodigies necessarily, they're just strong players in this field. Their ability to calculate peaks at
Yeah.
a certain time, and it starts to degrade. I know this from my own experience, not having ever gotten to any particular prestigious title, but it was like, my ability to do math problems in my head was so easy when I was younger, and then it became harder and harder and harder. And it's the same with chess calculations. I sit at the board, and I used to think, I used to have to what am I doing? I'm rethinking. I'm recalculating the same thing. I never used to have to do that. And that's due to my age.
I would like to make one addition when you're talking about chess, music, and math. Music, you have to be very specific what you have in mind. It's not composing music. It's play music ability. So which means you can be a brilliant violin player or a pianist at very young age.
Mhm.
And you cannot be a creator of music, of any substantial music at least, at very young age. Even if you will take a Mozart, he had incredible ability to play clavichord, piano, violin to lesser extent, by the way. But his music, which he composed as a kid, is real nothing. It's very primitive, very repetitive, very little inspired music. He became much better composer in his later years, although the level of the music that he composed is extremely uneven. And beside masterpieces like Symphony Number 4041, Opera Don Giovanni,
I know.
there's a lot of garbage that he put, even as a adult, just to earn some money.
But even people that can hear it and then play it, that's a gift.
But,
That's
along those same lines, there are a number of symphonies around the world. I know we've got some here in the Carolinas. There are definitely the Boston Symphony and the California, several philharmonics there that oftentimes do youth composer competition. So are you dismissing the winners of those? Because I think that they sometimes do some very innovative works that some people would consider to be masterpieces that are some of these winners of some of these youth competitions from the philharmonics.
Well, so you're talking about, let's see, 100 works, different works. If I will dismiss all 100, I may miss one, maybe two of not even gems, but at least something that deserves attention. But I will save a lot of time, so I'd rather dismiss all of them.
Well, in Northern California, we had two 10-year-old chess masters. Let's go back. I played both of them. I watched both of them play. And one of them played like he was 55. And the other played dramatic combinations that we can't teach. And the flaws in his game, we can teach. Well, one of them became a grandmaster.
Yeah. Hey,
Well, the one with talent.
Don't forget
was the one that was able to repeat play that he had seen by others.
Which one became the grandmaster? The
One with
player
talent.
played like 55, or the other
Guy,
one?
no, the guy that played like 55 was, he played. That was as good as he got.
Good as he got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of chess players. They would go at a certain level.
So-
They would level out, and they just never got any better. They hit almost like a wall, a chess rating wall, and for whatever reason they.
Hold on a
couldn't
second.
break through that
Jacoby has
wall.
a point.
Yeah, Jacoby.
we're talking in our age genre or our age group, but we can't forget that the newer prodigies, there are some that are huge in the whole gaming community, because you have prodigies and the game developers and the actual game players themselves. There's a 7-year-old girl who just designed a game involving ballerinas and jewels.
Yeah.
So you have prodigies, especially
Never heard
in the
of it.
gaming area.
Yeah, especially in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
There's a 12-year-old kid who made a game called Space Pants Sam. It's $1 on the iOS store and the Android store, or the App Store.
Yeah.
Hey,
No, I had my good friend of mine, my best friend, actually, his son is now a professor at UC Davis. But when he was growing up, for our birthdays and things like that, he would develop games. It was just amazing how creative he was.
No, they do some amazing stuff with the game development. I did have a question based on something that I saw when you mentioned earlier about I think Jacoby may have, or somebody did, I think it was Nick actually, the NBA and what's going on there. There was a moment in the game, I think it was game 2 with Los Angeles Lakers and the Denver Nuggets, where a ref was hit in the mouse, and LeBron and that ref were joking because the referee actually said that that's what LeBron had been wanting to do for 25 years. It seemed like it was an inadvertent accident, and he accidentally hit him in the mouth and all in that space and gave him a bloody mouth and everything. But I was wondering, for you that plays the chess game, are there any moments where the chess players, which seem to be a very civil group, actually want to attack the folks that are monitoring and controlling the game? So do we ever
All
have the
the
moments
time.
where the folks are actually being attacked and all of
All
that?
the time, Mark. Oh my goodness, civil group? No. We just look civil. No, we're nasty. We want to grind each other's bones into blood.
It can be pretty bloody.
No, but there are people that are like the umpires of the game there in chess as well. So I got that y'all want to attack each other, but do y'all ever attack the folks that are
Tournament
monitoring
directors?
games
Yeah.
and actually in control of monitoring what's going on with the competitors?
Any
well-
sign of authority would set us off.
Yeah. Weren't you, Jim? Weren't you a FIDE arbiter or something?
No,
like
I was
that?
never an arbiter. No.
Okay, you
Are
weren't
you
right.
having to? Is it becoming an increasing problem of people using AI to cheat at chess?
Oh, cheating at chess? No, we never discuss that, do we, Jim?
Yeah.
Never discuss it. You know.
I've been on shows with Sasha and Ken Reagan.
Ken Reagan.
Ken is one of the he's a professor at the University of Buffalo.
Right. He's the world's leading expert on cheating in chess.
And he's involved in the current lawsuit, which is for millions of dollars, and that's going on involving the former world chess champion. It's hard for me to say that because he's still the best chess player in the world, but Magnus and an accusation that he may or may not have made about cheating. And so, yeah, but once the engines became so strong, just having a phone was disallowed. You can't have a phone while you're playing. And people would make trips to the bathroom and consult their phones. And so there was definitely cheating and the use of engines during games. Because for me, if I was just in a complicated situation, I would only need to check the engine once to get the best move in a complicated position.
Right.
And then that would be
it could be all the difference.
Make all the difference.
You're absolutely right. In other words, the thing is, you get in these positions where all of a sudden you really need to find the right move, and it's the key position, and you go, I can't do this. So you put it all in they go to the bathroom. I need a bathroom break, go to the bathroom, put it in, then you come back and you make the best move on the board. And it's called chess cheating. And yeah, they don't let you do that because of the phones. When I was doing a lot of tournaments when I was playing a lot of tournaments, it did not exist. Because when I was playing, the chess programs were so weak that you wouldn't ever consult a chess program for a move because they were stupid. But that has changed. So it's kind of left the game.
But there was always cheating in chess, Nick. There was always cheating in chess.
Yeah, I know. They always tried to cheat. Usually the weaker players, they try to cheat. There's no way you can become a strong player if you're cheating. It's impossible because you play too many tournaments. It just isn't going to happen.
Yeah, so, just really quick, I was going to come back to media because we talked about Pink Panther earlier. There's another pink company. This one is actually a pink parrot, and apparently they're a Canadian company, and they have bought two very popular 3D animated comedies, Norbit and the Botanics at Cannes this past week. But I'm going to tell y'all what the Norbit is about, and it sounds to me like they could be the story of two of our political candidates, and I'm going to tell you the story, then y'all tell me if they could possibly be either Putin or in another case, maybe Trump. But it says that Norbit spotlights an incompetent spy from a sad, bureaucratic, and greedy nation. Despite his total uselessness, Norbit will become a key player to thwart the plans of his own government in an exciting quest that will see him travel alongside strange companions. Sasha, I could be wrong, but that sounds like Putin to me and everything, but the character is called Norbit. And then the other one is Botanics, and that story goes follows Daphne and Merlin as they go to see their eccentric great-grandmother Greta for her 100th birthday, left at home by their parents looking for a last-minute gift. The siblings discover that Greta is being manipulated by crooks who want to send her to a retirement home and steal her belongings. That sounds like that could be Trump in some of his homes and everything. So what do you think, Jim? Does that sound like Putin and Trump to you and all of that in those descriptions that I gave?
Well, I think the first description was, I was thinking you were going to say it sounded like Trump. Both anything that, I thought Trump was a pawn of Putin during his administration. But, I just think it's wonderful. Why isn't a pink flamingo involved in this? If you're going to go pink, doesn't a flamingo just cry out rather than a parrot?
Yeah, I've never seen a pink parrot. I did see a.
Is that taken though? Maybe that's taken. That's why they're going with something else. But Pink the singer, we got to shout out to her.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also in the Wall Street Journal, a very interesting article came out about, I think it was called Bud and Budweiser beer and Bud Light. Apparently, what they did, they put a transgender person on the Bud Light deal, and Bud Life, and then they showed the reason for doing it. Apparently, Budweiser has been having sluggish sales for like the last, several years. So their new media person goes, well, what I'll do, and it seems to make sense now. I read it. What I'll do is I'll put a transgender person on because it will help increase the sales into that community. The minute they did that, they got a big boycott and they lost 28% of sales rather than gaining, because when I checked the transgender community, it was like 0.6% of the population is trans. Okay. So you figured they figured probably I'm going to grab some market share, but instead they lost market share. So now they're rebooting because Bud and Bud Light just got their rear handed to them, and now decides to put veterans on the beer cans. What are your thoughts about the Bud marketing strategy? Bud Light.
I mean,
So
Bud Light.
the conservative pundits need a steady stream of things to be outraged about. And Budweiser put Dylan Mulvaney, the trans woman, in some really niche deal that was, was targeted at kind of that. I think it was maybe a March Madness ad that was like some tiny streaming thing, but somebody conservative found it and decided to manufacture outrage about it. It wasn't like they were buying national TV spots on network TV. With Dylan Mulvaney, it was some little deal that just got blown up because it makes for good angry conservative TV.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because all the actual individual that they put on there, the transgender individual that they put on there, had millions of views, and just like any other company, if you're going to try and increase sales, you're going to, especially in this day and time, you're trying to market yourself with whatever influencer has a ton of viewers. They have millions of viewers. Okay, we're going to give you a deal. They've done, transgender. They've done, those. They've done everybody. Budweiser tries to include everybody. It's not even an American company anymore. So they've tried to utilize the whole inclusion. They've done the rainbow can and so on and so forth. It's exactly just as Rick said. Somebody saw it and tried to manufacture some outrage, and that's what happened.
Hey, hate sells, right? So, this is what politicians are capitalizing on. You're working up the outrage, working up the hate. They have all sorts of techniques. And guess what? Sometimes they're lying. They're not always telling the truth. They're not telling you what actually happened. This whole thing about, LBGT people and all the type of outrage about, I can't remember now. Rick, maybe you can help me out with the people doing reading sessions and they're part of the
drag reading sessions.
Yeah.
Anyways, the idea is that these are things that are pretty harmless. If you take a look at it, they're actually helpful for children, and you can make this case by exaggerating and outright lying about what's going on, and then you can make this outrage, and then you can put your political campaign around this outrage, and you got 100% of the people of a certain mindset that are waiting to hate something new, and you're telling them what to do, and you're showing them what to hate, and they're all on board without thinking this through.
So Martin Luther King said the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice or something like that, and marketers are trying to ride that arc. They're trying to see, all right, can we be progressive? Put a trans person in an ad and win that demographic and the people who are sympathetic, and the others, and avoid getting burned by the other side. And for instance, like it used to be illegal to be a mixed race couple, and then now the shortest way to show that you're hip and to hit two demographics at once is to throw a mixed race couple in your ad. They're every place, and the war against that, just let that disappeared. It's
maybe a Supreme Court justice being involved in that relationship has something to do with it, because he's against the Supreme Court justice who's involved in one of those relationships may have something to do with it. He's trying to bring back the clock to everything else.
Well, that it was a ridiculous objection, but so's a lot of like freaking out about a trans person is also ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like that was a battle that seems to be pretty easily won with regard to marketing, because if you can put people of two different races together in an ad that lets you hit two different demographics at once.
Yeah, and also Jim's late to the party, but apparently we have received a permission to be on
iHeartRadio.
On iHeartRadio. Okay, somebody's calling me. Permission to be on iHeartRadio and Spotify. So now our TV shows, Jim, will be what they do. Apparently, they strip the audio out. No, strip the video out,
Right.
And it becomes an audio show. And our shows work for it because they're talk shows. I'm not sure how you're going to do chess and say, okay, then he moved E4, E5, NF3, NC6, etc. But something that that what chess players can do when they reach a certain level, you play blindfold chess.
Yeah.
Okay. And to me, it's the hardest type to do is play blindfold, and even harder. I've done this simultaneous blindfold chess.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty tough. I maxed out about 10 games. I don't know if I could do that anymore. So Rick goes,
I only did 4, and I don't think I could do it. I know.
I don't think I can do that anymore. I think that's all toast. But I'm not sure how the chess program is going to work on iHeartRadio and Spotify. It'll be something that we'll see how that works.
Well, we're pretty opinionated on that chess show too.
Yeah, that's true. You are pretty opinionated. You do have a
very
lot of
opinionated on that chess show, and like I said,
So
they have
very
some.
interesting.
It's also one of our shows that has some very seductive pictures. I was mentioning earlier, Jim, how you had a real good time, fun that time when we had the nude picture. And by the way, Rick had a nude picture on his premiere as well. He was actually being painted half nude and all of that. But I do remember that Grandmaster Marin's wife brought in a picture, and you got quite red in the face when you saw it.
I thought I handled it quite well, Mark. No, I did get flustered.
Well, also, so to help your ratings out, there's a young lady who would like to appear on your show, but she doesn't have a big ELO. She heads up the London Chess Academy. Her ELO is like 1,500 or something like that. But she's attractive, so I figured I'll send them over to you guys, and you can figure out what you want to do.
There was a famous chess match in 1969 in Los Angeles where a woman played naked. Eve Babbitts played naked chess against I think a famous surrealist artist,
Michel Duchamp.
I think it may have been him.
He was pretty strong.
It was Duchamp, and also Jennifer Shahade played when she was dressed and her male opponent was nude.
Oh yeah, that was true. I remember seeing that. She made pictures of that, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, she was good. She had a good.
Duchamp was actually a great chess player too. Well, maybe not great, but he was very good.
Well, there's chess boxing where you play some chess and then you play on the other guy for 3 minutes, and then you go back to chess. You could probably do competitive chess stripping.
Competitive chess stripping. That could be a whole nother part TV show and everything. I don't know. Will it have been moderated by Sasha?
That's been done, Rick. I can tell you that has been
done. Then men can only use their imagination, and so could women. And we're going to use our imagination right now. We're going to imagine that our show is over because we're at the hour. So we want to thank.
Hey, congratulations on getting on iHeartRadio
around the world. And we will see you next week on the media show. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.